You see a house advertised for 1 crore, and naturally you would think, okay, this house cost me 1 crore. It doesn't. Depending on whether it is under construction, whether you're taking a home loan, how much you spend on interiors, maintenance, taxes, and all the other charges that nobody really thinks about initially. A 1 crore house can eventually cost you way more than 1 crore. And trust me, the final number is quite ridiculous. But before we begin, make sure that you hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, as it really helps us to make more detailed real estate videos like this. So let's begin. So in this video, I'm going to break down 8 expenses that you should calculate before buying any property in India. And at the end, we'll actually take a 1 crore house and calculate approximately how much money could go out of your pocket over 20 years. And trust me, the final number is quite ridiculous. Number 1. First, the most obvious one, government charges, stamp duty, registration, and GST. Your property's quoted price is generally not the final amount that you pay. Let's assume you're buying a 1 crore property in Maharashtra. For this example, let's assume approximately 6% stamp duty. That's 6 lakh rupees straight away. Then you have registration charges. For a 1 crore house, let's take approximately 30,000 rupees for our calculation. So your 1 crore property is already becoming approximately 1 crore 6 lakhs and 30,000. And then there is GST. If it's an under construction property, GST can also apply. For affordable housing, it's 1%. For normal residential housing, it's 5%. And for commercial properties, it's 12% with input tax credit. So in our 1 crore home example, assuming it's a normal under construction residential property, that's another 5 lakhs in GST. So just stamp duty 6 lakhs, registration 30,000, GST 5 lakhs. That's approximately 11.3 lakhs over and above your 1 crore price. And we haven't even started yet. Next, number 2, cost of capital, meaning your home loan. This is probably the biggest expense that people completely underestimate, because most people don't buy a 1 crore house by writing a 1 crore check. They take a loan. Now let's assume property value 1 crore, you arrange 20% down payment, which is 20 lakh rupees, and the bank finances the remaining 80 lakh rupees. Now suppose your home loan interest rate is 8% per annum and your tenure is 20 years, your EMI will be roughly 66,900 per month. Doesn't sound crazy, right? But here's a number nobody thinks about. Over 20 years, you will pay approximately 1.6 crores to the bank against that 80 lakh loan, meaning approximately 80 lakh 60,000 rupees is interest alone on the 80 lakh principal loan amount. So whenever you're deciding whether you can afford a house, don't ask yourself, can I afford the EMI? Understand the cost of capital as well, because extending your tenure can make the EMI look comfortable while dramatically increasing how much interest you eventually pay overall. Now, number 3, the third expense, and this is a recurring one, maintenance and property tax. This is where I think a lot of home buyers make another mistake. They calculate the EMI eligibility but don't calculate the actual cost of living in that property. And as a general thumb rule, let's keep 1% of the property value towards your annual maintenance and property tax on that property. Now, this is not a fixed percentage, and actual costs may vary massively depending on the city, building, amenity, property tax, assessment, size of the house, and the society. But for ease of calculation, we've taken a 1 crore house. Let's assume approximately 1 lakh per year. That's about 8,300 rupees per month. So if your EMI is 67,000 rupees, your actual housing outflow per month isn't 67,000. It could already be 67,000 plus 8,300 rupees, which is now approximately 75,300 rupees per month before utilities, major repairs, and everything else. And this is exactly why I keep saying loan eligibility is not equal to affordability. A bank may say you're eligible for an 80 lakh rupee loan, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can comfortably afford an 80 lakh loan, because the bank isn't paying your maintenance, your property tax, your interiors, or your lifestyle expenses. And there's another small GST angle here. For housing societies, The GST of 18% on maintenance is also applicable if the monthly maintenance is above 7,500 rupees and if the society's turnover is also more than 20 lakh rupees. Also, the builders can definitely charge you 18% as GST on the maintenance component as well. Now, for example, if we simply hold our 1 lakh annual assumption constant for 20 years, that's rupees 20 lakhs gone in maintenance, right? And realistically, maintenance generally won't remain frozen at today's number for 20 years. So this is actually a simplified calculation. Then at number 4 is especially relevant when you're buying from a developer: possession and other one-time charges. You may have society formation charges, clubhouse membership charges, electricity meter charges, gas connection charges, certain deposits, advance maintenance, infrastructure-led related charges, and various other amounts depending upon the project. Now, many of these may already be disclosed in your cost sheet or agreement, which is why you need to read the cost sheet properly before booking. Don't only ask the sales guy, "Sir, final rate kya hai?" Ask him, "Final all-inclusive check kitne ka katega?" There is a huge difference. For our 1 crore example, let's simply keep approximately rupees 5 lakh for these additional possession and clubhouse charges. Now, your actual cost may be lower or higher, but the point is budget it for before you buy. Next, number 5, transfer premium. This becomes especially relevant in a resale transaction. In a simple language, what is transfer premium? It is the premium you pay to the housing society to remove the old seller's name and put your name in the records and in the share certificate. Basically, is the payment you make to the society for the mutation of the names. Now, don't randomly end up paying lakhs of rupees because somebody calls it a transfer premium. For example, in Maharashtra, rupees 25,000 is the maximum amount that can be charged as transfer premium. So make sure you know your state's upper ceiling. So if a society tells you rupees 2 lakhs transfer charge, 5 lakhs as welfare fund, 1% of your agreement value, do not blindly pay it. Understand exactly what they're charging you for and whether it's legally permissible. For today's calculation, however, we are assuming you're buying directly from the developer, so transfer premium will be 0. If this were a resale apartment in Maharashtra Cooperative Housing Society, we could budget approximately 25,000 rupees for the permitted transfer premium. Next, number 6, the interiors. This is the most dangerous one because there is no upper limit. I've seen people buy a 5 crore house and spend rupees 1 crore doing it up. That's another 20% of the property value spent just on interiors. Kitchen, wardrobes, furniture, lighting, false ceilings, bathroom, automation, curtains, marble flooring, loose furniture, civil work, appliances, and suddenly you're saying, "Arey, sirf thoda interior karna tha," and that thoda becomes rupees 40 lakhs. Now, obviously, this is completely in your control. You can spend 5 lakhs, 15 lakhs, or even 50 lakhs, or in fact, even 1 crore. But that's exactly why you should calculate it before deciding your house budget, not after buying the house. For today's 1 crore example, let's assume a reasonable 15 lakh rupees as interior budget. So once again, the 1 crore property is not a 1 crore financial decision anymore. Next, number 7, floor rise and PLC, which is preferred location charges. This is basically real estate's version of pay more if you want a better seat. Think about an aeroplane. A window seat can cost more. Think about a theater. Different seats can have different pricing. Same logic in real estate. Higher floor, developer may charge you more. Sea facing, more money. Garden facing, more money. Corner apartment, more money for the same apartment. These premiums can sometimes be included in the quoted price and sometimes be shown separately depending on how the developer structures the cost sheet. Again, please read your cost sheet. For our example, let's assume rupees 2 lakhs additional for floor rise and PLC. And finally, number 8, brokerage and legal fees. These are transaction costs. If you've bought through a broker, there may be brokerage depending on the city and transaction. This could be around 1 to 2% or another commercial negotiated amount. For our 1 crore example, let's assume 1.5 lakh rupee brokerage. And please, especially when you're buying a resale property or doing a complicated transaction, please hire a property lawyer. Do not try to save 30 or 50,000 rupees on legal due diligence when you're investing 1 crore in a property. Title checks, encumbrances, permissions, agreements, society documentation, property records, loan documents. A lawyer should independently check all these things whenever and wherever required. For today's example, let's allocate another 50,000 rupees towards legal fees. Now let's add everything up. You bought a home with a 1 crore base price. Let's assume home loan interest rates over 20 years is rupees 80 lakh and 60,000. Stamp duty plus registration plus GST is 11.3 lakhs. Maintenance plus property tax assumption over 20 years is 20 lakhs. Possession, clubhouse and other charges is 5 lakhs. Transfer premium here is 0. Interiors is 15 lakhs. Floor rise PLC is 2 lakhs. Brokerage 1.5 lakhs. And legal fees rupees 50,000. Now the total additional cost would be approximately 1 crore 36 lakhs. Yes, your house had a base price of 1 crore and we've calculated another 1.36 crores of potential costs and outflows around owning and financing that house over a 20-year period. Meaning your total cash flow under this simplified example could be around 2.36 crores. But again, there's also another way of looking at it. Remove the biggest number, the home loan interest of approximately 80 lakhs and 60,000 rupees. Even then, the 1.36 crore minus 80.6 lakhs, you're still left with approximately 55 to 56 lakh rupees of other costs. This is more than 50% of the original 1 crore base price. And remember, even in this example, the assumptions made on maintenance and property costs remain flat rather than increasing over 20 years. So the next time you walk into a sales office and somebody tells you, sir, the property is only for 1 crore, please ask yourself 3 questions. What is my all-inclusive acquisition price? What is my monthly ownership cost? And what is my cost of capital over the tenure of my loan? Because the price printed on the brochure is only the beginning. If you found this video useful, do hit the like button, subscribe to my channel and share this with someone who's planning to buy a house.